This is chapter 11 of Pasquala. It's called Where the Tules Grew. For the next 4 summers, we lived with my uncle, his wife, and 4 other families in a large cowie. Mother and I spent the days working with the other families. People were friendlier to us, but the stern looks from my uncle still made us feel sad and lonely. Day after day, we walked the narrow trails to the marshes. Edging our way down the muddy path, the smell of the marshes and the sloughs reminded me of the days long ago when I was a child. As we came to the thick green tules, we could see the black clouds of mosquitoes and hear their high-pitched whine. We waded knee-deep into the marsh, and with obsidian blades we slashed armloads of tules. We piled the tules on the shore. Later the men would tie the tules into bundles and make boat-like rafts. They would steer the tule boats through the sloughs and marshes, spearing fish and searching for duck eggs and turtles. Sometimes Mother and I would sit in the shade near the marshes and weave the tule reeds into thick mats. We used these mats to repair the thatching on our cowie and granaries. My mother showed me how to weave a skirt from the tule reeds and how to pound tule fibers into soft linings for baby cradles. I learned to weave the tule fiber into rope and string that the men used for nets and traps. Each day before we left the marshes, we dug tule roots from the shallow waters of the lake and spread them to dry in the sun. One day, as I filled my baskets with roots, I thought of my father and how much I missed him. I thought of the times he had been with us in the tules when we had gone to look for speckled duck eggs. His keen eyes had always spied the duck nest hidden in the tall tules. Together we had found the tracks of raccoons and antelopes patterned in the mud. One day we followed the tracks of the tule elk. Father and I stood whisper still looking across the marshes. A herd of tule elk stirred and slowly got up from their afternoon naps. As the elk grazed, they edged away from us until all that we could see were their great racks of horns drifting along above the tules. Father had lifted me up on his shoulders so I had a better view, and I watched until the last elk disappeared into the tall green tules. My thoughts were interrupted by a flash of red. Red-winged blackbirds had swooped down in front of me to snap up a black cloud of mosquitoes. The tall, slender tules swayed and bent under the weight of the birds, their wings beating rapidly as their beaks bobbed back and forth, picking at the mosquitoes. Then, as suddenly as the birds had come, they were gone. Rising quickly above the tules into the clear blue sky, stillness closed in around me. The tules loomed above my head, and hit rising from the watery marshes hung in the air like cobwebs. Suddenly, from the thick undergrowth, came the noisy croak of a bullfrog. It made me laugh out loud, but did not seem to disturb the great blue heron standing on stick-like legs, waiting patiently to catch his dinner. Parting the tules, I stepped out onto the shore of the lake. A family of ducks swam close to the water's edge. As I watched, the mother and father led their line of ducklings toward the middle of the lake, leaving a trail of ripples behind them. Ripples. As the ducks disappeared across the lake, I thought of my own family. Turning, I saw my mother coming up the path, lugging her heavy basket of tule roots. She motioned for me to come. Her hand felt good across my shoulders as I fell into step with her, and together we carried our baskets of roots back to the village. It was good to be home with our people.